The most family-friendly name in entertainment is about to make $360 million globally in one weekend on the filthiest movie that's ever been put to the name Disney. Oh, by the way, they're going to put him in the theme parks too, so your kids can meet him. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here is the man that I go to for all of my Deadpool questions, Mr. VashSky. Vash, hey, Vash, is it true that they called him Wade Wilson because they were trying to rip off Slade Wilson, who was actually Deathstroke the Terminator over there at DC?
I actually don't know the answer to that question. This is not my forte, but he will be entering my forte very shortly, apparently.
That's true. That's very true. You could always debate about what to talk about on a theme park channel. We're going to talk about the movie aspect here first because, oh my goodness, mercy sakes alive, Deadpool and Wolverine to tear up the world with 360 million global opening, restoring Marvel Cinematic Universe glory box office preview. Of course, I disagree with that headline a little bit. The 360 million part, yes. Restoring Marvel Cinematic Universe glory, I don't know that that's really the case. This one by Anthony D'Alessandro and Nancy Tartaglione. Look at that. It's Deadpool and definitely Hugh Jackman. Could be Ryan Reynolds, but who knows? Marvel/Disney's Deadpool and Wolverine finally opens up this weekend, not only further rebounding the post-strike box office to a healthy place, but also revitalizing the MCU's brilliance. It was only last November that the studio fell on hard times with its lowest opening ever, with The Marvels at $46.1 million US and $110 million worldwide. Okay, so I went to go see The Marvels. Vash, did you go see The Marvels?
No, I did not go see The Marvels at all because, you could see that train wreck from a mile away and I just didn't want to stay for the crash.
Yeah, I went to go see it, and it is the only, first of all, I took a picture in the theater to show how many people were there. And somebody asked me, no, really prove it. So it's the only time I've ever used a flash during a movie to take a picture of the theater. Yeah, that was the emptiest I've ever seen a theater. And I went to go see Casablanca with a group of friends on a Tuesday afternoon one time in the middle of Naples, Florida. That was an almost empty theater. It still wasn't as empty as The Marvels on opening night.
So it was kind of like my showing of Wish that I saw. Completely empty.
Whoa. Yeah, Disney is certainly hitting on all cylinders there. They're just going in the wrong direction. But maybe not anymore. The current range for domestic on the new Deadpool movie directed by Shawn Levy and starring Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman is $160 million to $170 million. That is domestic only. That is huge, destined to be the biggest R-rated opening of all time, unseating the original Deadpool's $132.4 million. Worldwide stands at 340 to 360 off an offshore start of 180 to 190 million. Okay, so first of all, let's point out the highest grossing R-rated film of all time. That would be Joker at just over $1 billion. The original Deadpool, I think it was around the 775 range on a budget of like 75 million. These are spitball figures, so if they start quoting them later in this article, I'm just pointing out we're talking in ballpark figures here. And then beat out by Deadpool 2 at 786 million. That one cost them a lot more money to get. That was 150 million to get that amount there. So this movie probably 250 to 300 million to make because of the star power, the fact that they've reshot it several times, the fact that it had to pause production for COVID, things like that. I think this one is probably going to be profitable when it's all said and done. But who knows the way that Disney pays for films? Vash, what do you think?
Yeah, that's going to be the big question, right? Because we have heard that this was part of those COVID era films in which they had to stop and start, in which there were delays and so forth attached to those projects. And so we really don't quite know what the budget on this accurately looks like. We know that some of the films that this was coinciding when it comes to filming were like Little Mermaid, for example, or Indiana Jones 5, and we know the stories behind those. Those were unbelievably inflated budgets for those films. So, I mean, on the one hand, it's like, okay, well, if they kept it conservative, then it's going to be an amazing success. However, $360 million, does that even match the budget that was a part of this film? If it doesn't, well, maybe this isn't going to make as much money as people quite think, which, from Disney's perspective, it's like, I guess these are loss leaders anyway, so no harm, no foul, I suppose. But I think if people are looking for long-term success for the MCU, it really is predicated on this film doing very, very well and ushering in kind of a new era for Marvel.
Right. And let's talk about the fact that of something you pointed out there, that these are loss leaders for the company, because these are essentially supposed to be advertisements for what is going to go into the parks. They're supposed to be ads for the merchandise that they're selling. So for Disney, it's never really been an issue of profitability for these movies. They need to get them out so they have something to put into stores and something to put into the parks to pull people in. So it's more important for them if they break even, or even if they think about their marketing budget for the parks, that these movies be popular than it be profitable. So with that being said, in order for a film to be really in that like $2 billion range, which I don't think this is going to get to $2 billion. Someone will mock me in the comments because I actually said that. In order to get that successful, you have to be like a 4-quadrant picture, which means you also have to have kids wanting to see the film.
Right.
And I'm just going to say this. Children probably should not go see Deadpool. It is a rated R film, and it is not just rated R for violence. But that being said, Ryan Reynolds himself told the New York Times, my 9-year-old watched the movie with me and my mom, who's in her late 70s, and it was just one of the best moments of this whole experience for me. And maybe your child, your little 9-year-old, can also enjoy the expletives coming out of Deadpool's mouth when you go over to Walt Disney World, where you can also meet Deadpool. Did you know that Deadpool is going to be arriving at Walt Disney World?
Well, that was news to me because apparently it's going to be arriving at Disneyland.
I got it wrong. I did get it wrong there. It is Disneyland. There's a Deadpool meet and greet coming to Avengers campus over there at Disneyland, and of course Disneyland Paris. But I am not shocked that the Disneyland Paris would have this character in it, such is life. They give a cigarette to a baby. I'm just joking. I know they don't let kids well, maybe they do over there in France. But look at him right there. There's Deadpool. Hey, Vash, how is Disney going to deal with the problem of Deadpool's mouth over there at Avengers campus?
It's going to be interesting. I would expect him to speak at least somewhat, but yeah, I don't know how they're quite going to overcome those issues, because I believe the original mask, wasn't that CGI enhanced in order to make it move the way it does? It's going to be kind of interesting to see what they do for the theme parks. I will say this, and they released some more photos that Disney did showing this off. I would have never thought that Deadpool would have been introduced into the park like this. I just wouldn't have bet money on that. I'll say that because, well, obviously he is associated with a particular brand of Marvel that is very adult, right? I didn't really expect the Punisher to be implemented in any way in the theme park, for example, but they're bringing in Deadpool, and I think that kind of goes to show you the viability of some of these Marvel characters just hasn't been all that great, because you would have thought that they would have gone in the direction of more Avengers style Marvel characters to be incorporated into this theme park. There have been a myriad of them added to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The Marvels just recently came out, and yes, there was a presence of some of those characters within the park, but to make a really big scene about this specific character incorporated into a park like Disney California Adventure, this is quite a turning of the corner, if you will.
Yeah, and I'm not sure it's the best corner for the parks here. My theory on this is that he might be one of those characters that is just silent, as opposed to trying to find actors who actually speak in that role. Because trying to find someone who is as funny and all of that as Ryan Reynolds to interact with guests on a regular basis. Also, the fact that Deadpool's dialogue is well, filthy.
Right.
Also pointing out that, even though I'm hearing from some early reviews of the film that the film is not woke, Deadpool is definitely an LGB, at least LGB, if not LGBT character, but they mostly play it for laughs. So, I'm saying all this just to indicate to the audience, if you're not understanding the level of crassness and humor that comes out of Deadpool. Now, that being said, there are things on the younger side that include the character of Deadpool in it. The Lego Marvel games include Deadpool, but it's the Nolan North version of Deadpool, which he does a fantastic job in the voice role. But that's clean for kids. This is one where I'm going to be very nice and say most parents would probably not want their very small child to interact with a fully voiced Deadpool character. It might be fine in the parks if it's someone who is completely silent. I also think this is one of those characters like Jack Sparrow that's going to have a high level of scrutiny from the female guests.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. I'll say this, Jonas. I'm not so sure if Disney's going to keep this character silent, only because a lot of the other mask characters are do have speaking roles.
They have masks though. Do they? Okay, so Black Panther does. I'm an East Coast parks guy. Does Black Panther speak in the suit?
I thought he did. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought he did.
Now, I do know that obviously, when we're talking about Star Wars, the First Order troops, those will speak, but it's kind of pre-recorded lines and things like that. The guy, I think, in the Kylo Ren suit might actually speak, but that's also a voice changer. Or maybe I'm just thinking of a different performance. The Galactic Star Cruiser, they definitely had him in a voice changer in that. Whereas the face characters will speak because it would be weird if the face characters didn't speak. But mostly, if you're in a mask, you weren't supposed to speak. Anyways, I'm sure someone will call us idiots in the comment section down below and tell us, no, of course, I went on this date and there was a Deadpool there and he spoke. I don't know if in the Orlando area, I joked about, I said Disney World before, in the Orlando area, Marvel is owned essentially by Universal Studios. And when they do Marvel characters at Islands of Adventure, they are classic Marvel. So you won't see this costume, even if Deadpool were there, which he's not going to be there, I'm fairly certain. Even if he were there, it wouldn't be this version of the costume. It would be more of a comic book style costume instead of a movie version of the costume. But at $360 million in one weekend globally, I don't want to say that I don't want to say I can't blame Disney here for putting him in the park, but also it's kind of like I'm trying to think. It would be like putting the cast of The Hangover in the park. It's just like, what are you doing with this children's theme park here? Or is it only for Disney adults now and the families just haven't been told yet?
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting thing, right? I mean, we've never quite seen a character like this included in the parks or incorporated into what is supposed to be a 4-quadrant product like the parks are right now. It's going to be a very interesting thing how Disney actually decides to do this specific act. Perhaps he might be silent. It would make a lot of sense, but would a segment of the fan base expect him to speak? That's going to be very interesting to see how they go along with that. We have heard some very interesting comments from the film itself. I believe Grace Randolph said that it was one of the best superhero films that she'd ever seen. I believe Chris Gore gave it a fantastic review over there at Film Threat. And so if this thing has good WOM or good word of mouth, I could see this really kind of collecting, huge box office numbers over the weeks in which it's in theaters. But it could also be a flash in the pan as well. We'll just have to see. But Disney is going hard on the Deadpool.
Yep, that's true. All right. With that being said, let us know your thoughts on this entire situation in the comment section down below. Will you be going to see the movie? Actually, Pro, over there on the WDW Pro channel, he'll be doing a stream right after he gets done with the movie, 9 p.m. Thursday evening Eastern time. So go check that out if you want. I'm personally going to skip this one because it's really not my cup of tea. It's a little too R for me to go check that out in theaters. Probably not going to do that myself. Vash, sounds like you're going to go see it. Like this video, everybody. If you want to boost out our channel to the masses here, it really helps to bust through the algorithm there. And of course, if you could consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.